Okay, we're going to go ahead and hear from our winning car owner, and that is Coach Joe Gibbs. Coach, not only did you win the race, but all four of your cars were inside the top five here tonight at Kentucky Speedway. And that's I know you've been in athletics all your life. That's pretty good. But talk about certainly Kyle getting that second win tonight. And the rest of your team certainly performed well, and maybe your take on just how this new package performed out there tonight.
Well, I think first of all I want to say that as everybody here knows, our big Camry center here is in Kentucky, Georgetown, and so a lot of our Toyota people here really appreciate them. They deserve a lot of this credit. Certainly, so it's a thrill for us to come to this part of the country. I thought the fans and everybody here are so nice, and they're so passionate about their racing, so I really appreciate that. For us tonight, yeah, it's a first for us to get four in the top five like that. As everybody here knows, as you guys follow the sport, for about a year and a half, we had a tough time on mile and a half intermediate tracks. And so I think a lot of credit, and Adam will probably, second this, goes to all the guys back home, the aero department, the engineering group, the fab shop, all those guys working so hard. And we have been hard-paced trying to catch up. And I think we worked extremely hard, and hopefully tonight's a sign that we've caught back up with everybody at intermediate tracks. A thrill for us. I think it's a great story for Kyle, obviously, to come back in 4 months and win a road race, and then to come back and win here. I think that's just it's a great sports story. It says a lot about his determination, his passion, the way he came back from that injury. I'm not sure many people could have done that, and it says a lot about his mental toughness too. I think he is mentally tough and physically tough, and so I think that showed up tonight. So big night for us. M&M's just really called all the family from the winner's circle and said to them, just thanks for letting them, for them letting us do this. As everybody knows, they've been in the sport now 26 years. They love the sport, a big part of it, and we're thrilled to be on their team. And like I said, Lord bless us with a great night.
Thank you, Coach. And Adam Stevens, congratulations on this win here tonight, your second win this season. And just talk about, you didn't get any practice in on Wednesday, and you didn't get any practice in on Thursday, and got some practice in yesterday. But just talk about how this team responded, rose up to the challenge, and won this race here tonight.
Yeah, it was just an exceptional weekend for us. We unloaded with a lot of unknowns like everybody else did, but we did a lot of homework. There's a lot of smart people at Joe Gibbs Racing that dedicate their lives to making these cars go fast, and they certainly did it this weekend and with this new package, and that was a pleasure to see, as Joe touched on. But the limited practice time didn't really bother me much, just because I knew we were all in the same boat. And I knew that our ace in the hole was Kyle Busch. I figured if I could just get him out there on the track at all, we'd have a shot to win it. But, we did make use of the little bit of time we had, and we're able to get the car good. It wasn't great, but it was good. And, thanks to his good information, we made some good changes for the race, and definitely had a top two car, and had a good race there with the two until they had a couple issues. But, it was I think the team that made the least amount of mistakes, on top of having just a competitive car, was going to win this race, and that's what happened tonight.
We'll take questions now for either Coach Gibbs or Adam Stevens. We'll start right here with Jim Utter on the second row.
Jim Utter, Charlotte Observer for Joe. You said after Kyle won his first race that the journey to top 30 in points was not going to be an easy task. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of people after he's won his second race who are going to make it seem like it's like he does a lot in his career, make it seem like it might be easier than it is. Do you still see it as being a difficult road ahead for him to make the change?
Well, I do, because in our sport, as I said, we've already seen some crazy things happen. You can break apart. That's part of our sport. You can have a freak shower on the fourth turn at Michigan and cost you a whole race. Think about all the things that can happen in a race like tonight, how many times you just miss hitting somebody or just miss a wreck. And so I pointed to the fact that last year, we know how hard Kyle races, and he was a little bit over 17th average. And so I do think it's extremely hard. And, but we just got to be prepared every week, go after as hard as we can. I think Kyle takes the approach. He's not going to back off. He's very aggressive, and he's going to go for it. And that's what he did tonight. He wasn't looking for second. And so it's a big deal for us to have a driver like that. Adam making all the calls, our guys on pit road. It really is a total team effort. And it also includes everybody back at the race shop. So a big deal for us. I do think it's very hard. I think it'll still be a hard, tough road for us. I think we're 90-something. I don't know what it is. That's a lot of points.
You're 87 points out of 30.
87. Oh, that's better. Yeah. It's looking better. I'll tell Kyle we only need 3 more of these. We'll be okay.
Let's go to the front row here to Joey, and then we'll go to Stan, and we'll see where we'll go from there.
Joey Chapman, Popular Speed. Adam, one of the main ideas with this package was kind of to put the racing more back into the hands of the drivers and the crew chiefs with strategy calls. Tonight, was there any more pressure on you as a crew chief? Did it affect the way that you had to call strategy throughout the race?
It did, and it certainly was going to get big there at the end if we had a caution. I think I was praying harder for no caution than about anybody on this earth those last 30 or 40 laps, because it puts you in a bad spot, But the cool thing about this package is the cars don't punch as big a hole in the air, so you're able to you don't lose the nose as bad when you're racing guys. You saw a lot of guys race side by side and swap positions and maybe not get clear and drift up behind them, and they didn't fall 6 or 8 or 10 car lengths back. They were still there within racing distance. And I think that's the advantage this package has right now. Now, whether that advantage is still there, we get 3 or 4 or 5 races deep with it and everybody figures it out a little bit more, I don't know. But, the surface lends itself to that too. The groove opened up really wide, which was fun. Gave the drivers a lot of options. And, from the word go, everybody was slipping a little bit. It makes you work hard, and I think that favors the guys that can truly drive race cars, and Kyle Busch is one of those guys.
Stan, and Stan, and then to Matt. Go ahead.
Stan Creekmore with RPMTonight.com. Coach, you're not the mechanic, you're not the engineer, you're the car owner. How quickly did your organization convince you that the changes NASCAR was putting up could lead to victory lane, could lead to very positive running for your teams?
Yeah, I think for me, basically in the background, you're right. I think Adam's glad I'm not a mechanic. So, although I think I could really do this, but I'm going to prefer to leave it with them. But I think what our drivers and everybody really kind of consistently across the sport has been saying, this is the package. They wanted less downforce. And the thing I thought tonight was really great is we saw the 2 car go all the way to the back, come back to the front. The 11 car went all the way to the back, came all the way to the front. I think that we saw a lot of passing. I thought the racing was, I felt like it was really improved. Adam's right. It'll be interesting to see when everybody kind of starts really working on this. But I do think we're headed in a good direction. And so I think it is very positive for this package, and I think that'll be what the fans say. That's going to be interesting. But we get the radio calls and everything that's going to happen. But I'd be willing to say you guys will probably hear from a lot of fans, and I'll be surprised if it's not positive.
Other questions? Matt's got one right here.
Matt Weaver, AutoWeek.com. One question for Coach and one for Adam. First, Adam, a lot of drivers are talking about how they want to take away the driver adjustable track bar, and that's really, along with the soft tires, the next step NASCAR needs to look at. Do you want that responsibility back in your hands as the crew chief to be able to do that instead of the drivers?
From my personal perspective, it doesn't make any difference. I do think it could potentially make the racing a little bit better. You know, you're making people stick another wrench in the glass to make that adjustment, and you do that and you make mistakes sometimes, and that shakes up the running order. And you know, if you're out there on the track and the balance is getting away from you, you don't have very many tools at your disposal. So taking away a tool from the driver will inherently make it more competitive. You know, you just can't dial yourself in if the balance is getting away from you.
And for Coach, it seems like we're moving closer and closer towards having track-specific rules for each track. You know, we're trying out Kentucky and Darlington. We're going to take a different package to Indianapolis and Michigan. And so there's some concern that that might add an extra cost to the ownership side. I know that NASCAR consulted with all of you guys before going this direction, but is that something that you're comfortable with as an owner?
Yeah, I think from the owner standpoint, for us, what's best for us is the fans to be excited about our racing. And we need them in the stands, and we need them on TV watching and listening on radio. So for us, you know, and this package, I don't think it's not a big expense. This package isn't. It's fairly simple for us. And so, but I think the overall concern for all of us is to do what's right, you know, for our fans. Now, I think we're going to try another package, and I applaud NASCAR. There's going to be two packages we're going to try, and we'll kind of see what happens. But I think it was bold on their part, and I think tonight panned out for us to have a good race, and it worked out great for us. And I think in the future, I think you're going to really see, I think NASCAR's after it. I think they really want to help the racing. And so it's a big deal for us, and I think I applaud what they're doing. I thought tonight was good.
Any additional questions? Final question, Stan?
Stan, I appreciate every time I talk to Stan, I see his face, I think of JD, and so I called JD right after the race, and everybody back home, I think Adam will say that JD and the whole group that doesn't come to the racetrack, it's a huge deal for them. Sometimes I feel bad because they're on TV, you know, they're watching TV and everything, but they don't get to celebrate. So we try and do that on Wednesdays, and we have a special lunch and stuff, a winter's lunch, but it's hard for them, and I really appreciate all of them back home.
Thank you, Coach. Adam, how positive would you be if NASCAR said, okay, we're going to put this into effect at Charlotte, at Kansas, at the other mile and a halfs in the chase?
How like excited would I be?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, based on one data point, I'd be really excited. But you know, it's just so hard to tell. There's a lot of nuances about Kentucky that lend it to great racing. So I don't know that I can put it all on the package. I can certainly tell you that the package was a benefit. It was racier, but Kentucky's a pretty racy track, and the groove opened up so wide today. And the tire combination had a little bit of fall off. You had some mixed strategies. So I think it's a combination, but you know, they're pushing all the right buttons, I think. But hell, I'd still be excited.
Let's finish up. We got a question in the press box. Go ahead.
Chris Knight, CatchFence.com. Coach, for you, it was a big night for Joe Gibbs Racing as a whole, but for Carl Edwards, it was just his third top 10 finish in 18 races. How big of a deal was this for the 19 team tonight?
I think it was a big deal. I talked to Carl today on the phone for quite a while, right before I flew over, and we were and to be quite truthful, he was worried. He said, you know, I just didn't feel good with the package. I thought some of our other cars were better than me, and we had a long discussion on it, and it was really eating at him, you know, and I haven't really been worried about it because I kept waiting to say, we're going to break out of this. We got a great pit crew put together. We know what he can do as a driver. He got Darian. We couldn't have a better group put together. But to be truthful, the performance had been off some, and I could tell reading into him, he's going, gosh dang it, you know, what's going on? And so I think it's just like any great competitor, and I know Darian feels the same way. So it was, I got to tell you, I had a big applaud when I saw that 19 come roaring up through there. It was really a big deal.
Coach Gibbs, Adam Stevens, congratulations on a big night tonight for Joe Gibbs Racing, and continued best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Kerry.
Thank you. All right, Kyle Busch, our race winner, his second win here at Kentucky Speedway, and his second win of the 2015 season. He's the driver of the number 18 M&M's Crispy Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. Kyle, congratulations on the win here tonight at Kentucky. Maybe just talk about your perseverance tonight. Certainly, you know, you came through the field up there and showed your strength, and a lot of give and take back and forth through 4 or 5 different cars. But just talk about the win tonight and how you thought the 18 car performed.
Where's my crew chief and car owner?
They were already in here.
Oh, all right, good. I appreciate that. Okay. What'd you want to know? I'm just joking.
Just want to know how the 18 car performed and how you thought, you know, the night went for you. Obviously well.
Yeah, obviously the night went real well for us, but in general, just, man, it was really, really good to get out there and to race like that tonight and to run up front and put on a good show, I hope, for the fans that were here in Kentucky Speedway and on TV. But most importantly, I can't say enough about Adam Stevens, my team, everyone that did such a phenomenal job for me and gave me a great race car to go out there and perform like I did, and to just be able to put it all together throughout, 400 miles like that was really good. And to come back from, a couple late restarts there where everybody was battling so hard and cars were everywhere and not knowing where to go, what to do, to get myself moving in the right direction, and then to finally get up towards the front and get that win, that feels really, really good. So, to pass Logano like we did there at the end of the race, it certainly means a lot more to be able to come up through there and to pass a guy late in the going to take the win. And, again, I can't thank M&M's Krispies and Monster Energy, Interstate Batteries, Toyota, all of our partners and supporters that have been there for us this year and that continue to be with us, and we appreciate that.
Questions? We'll go with Mark Garrow, then we'll go to Joey, and then to Jim.
Mark Garrow, PRN. First, congratulations. It was a great race. A lot of the drivers talked about it being a fun race. I think you've talked about how you enjoyed that kind of racing. Do you feel that emotion during the race, or are you concentrating so hard on what you're doing that you just don't allow yourself to feel that, or were you in the car going like, man, this is fun?
No, there was certainly a few times during the night where it was like, oh, this is aggravating, I don't like this. And then there were a couple times where it was like, this is actually really good if you think about it, So, there were some moments there early in the race where I kind of got hung up behind the 78 and I think the 11 and the 22 maybe, and I was like, man, I just can't get a run on them. I just can't get where I need to be to get by these guys. I know I'm faster than them, but then the caution came out, so it really wasn't a long enough run for me to have that opportunity to move around and move up to the top lane and all that stuff. So I was really impressed, though, how wide this racetrack got. The Kentucky Speedway was really, really cool to see from the bottom all the way 4 lanes up, and might even have been wider if it were a day race, just slipping and sliding a little bit more. But fun race. The track lended itself to options for us drivers, and I think the aero package lended itself to options for us drivers to be able to move around and try different things. When I got to Logano there late in the going, I knew he was going to come up and block my lane and take my air. But when he did, it wasn't as bad as it has been with, I think, the other aero package where you just stall out, and that guy can basically manipulate whatever you're going to do. And I could move down, I could turn down, and I could get underneath him, and we kind of swapped the lead a couple times for a couple laps. And then finally I was able to get by him, and move on away. But overall, hopefully all the drivers enjoyed it. I guess I did the most because I won, but feels good. Feels good to win.
Let's go to raise your hand. Joey had a question, and then I think it was Jim, and then Jeff.
Joey Chapman, Popular Speed. I talked to Adam about how this package, one of the main ideas was to put the control back in the hands of the drivers and the crew chief. Throughout the night, did it change the way that you communicated with your team, what was going on with your car and what you were doing behind the wheel?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think that there's certainly opportunities where there's different times you try to say as little as you can so you're not giving away everything to the other crew chiefs that are scanning you. And then there was other times tonight where I was like, man, I'm just not going to be able to explain myself without going on and telling him exactly what I'm doing and what's going on. And I think once I did that, he really got a sense of what I was doing, and he was really able to kind of dial in the race car for more of what I needed. And right then and there, I felt like our race car changed for the better, and that it was going to be a good car for the end of the race. But a couple of those late restarts, I got really tight off the start of the restart when Carl was racing me, and then when Denny was racing me. I was really tight for a few laps, and then I could start to get away. When those guys got loose, I kind of got back to neutral. And then there at the end, when Logano got away from me again, I was actually kind of tight, kind of loose. I was both. And I just knew that in the long run our car was really good, and I just was able to kind of move around and find some grooves that helped me.
And last question for you. Plenty of drivers were talking about after the race that as the runs would go on, you guys are able to adjust the track bar from inside the car. But they said that as that run goes on and the drivers do that, everybody's kind of running the same speed. So they suggested that moving forward that maybe NASCAR try and remove that from the vehicle. Your thoughts?
Either way. I'm good with it either way. You know, I think there are certain times where the track bar adjuster does help competition and it does help passing. And then I think there's other times where it hurts it. And you don't see guys that do fall off. You know, they're not able to adjust their car to what's going on with the circumstances that they're in. So I can see it going either way. I personally like it. I think that I was able to use it to my advantage tonight a few times, and that it really helped me. Not only to make I think it helped me pass the 22 car at the end of the race. I was able to adjust it, and obviously Logano was probably adjusting his, but it didn't help him. You know, so there's times when you know you do need that, and that it does help you. So if I didn't have it, would I have won the race? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. You know, so.
Let's go to Jim Utter, then Jeff Gluck.
Jim Utter, Charlotte Observer. Coach was talking about at the end of the race while he was watching you that he did not believe that you were going to accept second place. And when you won at Sonoma, you talked about being in the position of kind of preaching a little bit of patience, or you didn't have to take chances in order to make the points up for the top 30. Is it really within Kyle Busch not to, when he sees the opportunity to go for the win? I mean, or was this just an opportunity that you saw that was clearly you were in position to take?
I knew this was definitely another opportunity for us to take a chance on winning a race, you know, and there when Logano was kind of getting away from me at the beginning of the run, I was getting disappointed. You know, I was like, man, I'm trying, I'm driving everything, I'm hitting all my marks, and I'm just not keeping up. And I was like, I'm just going to have to move, you know, and I was like, I'm going to give this a few more laps and see if I get anything, and if I'm not gaining, then I'm going to move. Like, no matter what, I'm just going to move around. I've got room behind me, you know, if I lose ground, then it is what it is. I'll finish second, you know, but I moved around and I found something and it really worked for me. So I just kept doing it, and I kind of thought the 22 would get up there a lot quicker than he did when he saw me coming, but he didn't, fortunately, and you know, I was still able to have some room there on the outside a couple times, and I'd have to go to the inside, and it was a good race. But no, I did not want to settle for second for sure. You know, that was not in my mind to do that. I just knew to continue to work and to continue to put my focus forward out the windshield on what was ahead of me, and that one car that I needed to get to win.
Let's go to Jeff Gluck.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. I know there's been times in the past when you're running out there and something happens and you're like, you know, we're done. I'm wondering if you've ever thought that about your point situation. I mean, like, you know, at Daytona last week, at one point, it wasn't looking very good. Do you say to yourself, I mean, there goes the chase. I mean, obviously it's much better now, but was there any time where you were like, maybe it's not going to happen after all?
I haven't thought that yet, no. I haven't thought about the chase a whole lot. You know, I knew Daytona when I got in the wall that my first thoughts were, well, this isn't going to be easy, you know, and to just continue to fight hard and to salvage the best finish that we possibly could. And I think I even could have finished about 8th. You know, Kurt, I wanted to follow Kurt. He kind of maneuvered his way to the middle, and I wanted to maneuver my way to the middle right behind him, but I couldn't quite get there. on that last restart, and where I would have been the 31 car, and he finished 8th, so that's where I wanted to be. But it didn't quite work out. I finished 17th, so I didn't make up all the points that we needed to last week. But certainly finishes like this, runs like this, they sure do help. And thankfully we're going to a lot of races here now that are more, driver-induced than our circumstances-induced. And so it's going to be on my hands and Adam Stevens and this whole race team's hands.
Let's go to Nate Ryan right behind Jeff there. Nate Ryan, then we'll go to Stan, and that may go to the gentleman back there in the back. Go to Mark. Take a bunch of them.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Kyle, if you keep winning, I'm sure the top 30 equation is going to take care of itself. But I also think that with 2 wins now, even though you're outside the top 30, a lot of people, a lot of fans will probably be asking, isn't that deserved of its own to make the chase to have 2 victories? What's your take on that? I mean, do you feel like you're kind of putting pressure, I guess, in a way on NASCAR here, or kind of like positioning yourself in an interesting way, even if you're not in the top 30, to make a case for being a championship chase contender?
Well, I think the more wins that we do achieve, that it's going to put them in a tougher spot. But, also I think now that if there were 16 different winners, obviously that will put us in. The 2 wins will put us up over a guy that has 1 win. So that's the biggest positive that I see of the 2 wins. Again, it's just a continuation now that we've got to continue to get to that top 30. And hopefully it's not just us racing for a car owners championship, but for a driver championship too.
Let's go to Stan, and we'll go to the gentleman in the back.
Stan Creekmore with RPMtonight.com. Kyle, in the past you've said that you don't really pay attention to what the team is doing as far as the chassis of the car. You get in it and you go race. Were you more involved in preparation for today's race, or did you just take the same attitude? And then to follow up, you got a great trophy tonight. Mm-hmm. What's the one song you hope is on it?
So to this weekend, actually to this year, I've spent a lot of time with Adam Stevens, and we've really gone over notes, especially for the nighttime races. We have the opportunity to be able to go and discuss those things in depthly through the morning time before the garage opens. So after the Xfinity race last night, I learned some things there, felt some things there that I really wanted to describe and tell him, and he understood what I was talking about, and he knew what kind of things I was looking for in my Cup car, and he helped me a lot today. Him, the engineers, everybody, they did a really good job of giving me a better feel than what I had in practice. So I was thankful for all of that, and that'll obviously continue. There's no better thing than to talk and get communication, have good communication with the driver or crew chief. So the other part of the question was about the jukebox. What song? I don't know. Obviously the jukebox thing is kind of more like a, I would say early, probably through the 50s type thing, so maybe some cool 50s music being on there, that would be cool. Maybe some Beach Boys or something like that. Little Deuce Coupe would kind of be cool. Of course, my dad, he loves them Deuce Coupes. So besides that, though, I don't know. Maybe there's some new fresh stuff on there too that we can have some fun with.
Let's go to the back. Go ahead, sir.
Keenan Singleton from the ABC affiliate in Cincinnati. Just wanted to, I guess, pick your brain on how this win tonight compares to 5 years ago here in 2011.
Well, both are big in their own reasons, and I think all my wins are. Fans ask me, they go, "Well, what's your favorite win? What's your most memorable win?" or something like that. And to be honest with you, they all have their own memories for particular reasons, and they're all cool in their own right. 2011 here, being the inaugural winner, that's a special one in its own. You're the first guy to be able to conquer a racetrack that everybody's gone to, so you figured it out first. But then this one here, this one was a little more satisfying tonight, I think, too, just because of everything we've gone through this year with myself, my injuries, my family, Samantha, having Brexton here. He was in victory lane with us, my son. So, again, it's just it's a fun opportunity, and I'm blessed to be in the opportunity that I'm in with Joe Gibbs Racing and everybody that's surrounding me. And, things are looking good so far, so we'll just continue to keep fighting.
Final question, Mark.
Mark Arrow, PRN. Kyle, now that you've got the gap between you and 30th under 100 points, I guess it's 80, 81, somewhere in there. What was it?
87.
87, I'm sorry.
Why gotta be a downer? Because he said 81.
No, he said 88.
But I'm bad in math.
I thought he
apparently.
said 88.
Your math is really good.
What did he say, 88, didn't he? So I'm helping you out there.
I know I went the other way. How important was it to get it like under 3 digits? Now you're down, you've taken big chunks at Sonoma, obviously another big chunk here. How important to really, break through that century mark and give yourself that kind of a shot with 8 to go?
I don't know. I'm not really thinking about it exactly. I mean, obviously it's on our mind, but I'm not thinking about the points gained when we win. When we win, I know we did all we can do. That's awesome, and it is what it is. They lie wherever they lie. It's more of the 17th place finish at Daytona, and that those other guys can have decent finishes at those places as well too. So, because it's just such an unknown. That you kind of look at the points and you're like, okay, how many did I gain? I think I only gained like 6 or 7 or something last week on the 30th place guy. But this week was a good week. So, that's what matters most is for us to go out there and perform at our best at the level that we know how to do. And that's what I've said since I came back. If we do everything right and do it how we know we can, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to average a 14th place finish or whatever it's going to take to be in the chase, to make top 30. And now that we've gotten 2 wins, man, I never would have imagined we would have gotten 2 wins this fast, but I've got a great team and they've done a really good job. NBC asked me earlier, they go, well, when you won at Sonoma was like, of the racetracks that were coming up, I think there was 13 or 14. I was like, Sonoma was like 11. It was like way down at the bottom, and Kentucky was probably one of the top 3, so we've won at the top and the bottom of the list so far, so not too shabby. Hopefully we can keep going.
Kyle, congratulations on this win here tonight.
Thank you, guys.
And continue best of luck the rest of the year.
You missed that. Right on a crispy edge. Right out there, right on a crispy edge.